G'day jabronis, it is the Verd back with you again for Season 2 of the UBCL opening Round 1 match against also of the Windsor Weaviles. I was meant to do a team builder for this, but I forgot. So I'm just going to quickly tell you my team. Physically defensive, Skarmory. Physically defensive, Hero Matisse. Assault Vest, Roserade, no, Life Orb, Roserade. That's right, Life Orb Roserade. Bulky DD, Tyrantrum, what was this? Kyurem said again. Assault Vest Kyurem, I think, from memory. And then DD, Megazard X. He brought Rhydon, Hitmonlee, Mega Sableye, Suicune, Victini, Haxorus. What was I scared of going into the battle? I was kind of worried about Teeny. He was mixed attacking. Could be annoying. Suicune was a bit of a worry, but I had Roserade in the back, so we'd be all Gucci. Sableye wasn't really a problem because of Aromatisse. Rhydon, I don't know why he brought it, but he did. So yeah, let's just get into the battle. So he leads off with Suicune, I lead off with Kyurem. And he decides to stay in turn 1, and I was like, okay, Fusion Bolt Box. As he tries to Skull Burn me, and I was like, please don't. Turn 2, I make a shit play. At this point, Suicune staying in is like the worst possible play for him. I really should have just gone for Earth Power. It basically hit everything on his team quite well. If he went into Rhydon, it would have been, you know, great. I make these 2 turns are 2 of the worst plays of the game, by the way. I Fusion Bolt here because I'm stupid, and then second turn. Now, I am adamant of this situation, guys, that his Charizard X counter should be this Rhydon. It is by far the best counter on his entire team to my Charizard X. And in order to do that, he's going to need full physically defensive bulk in order to do it. But no, also is a madman after Adam suggested, hey dude, run a bit of special bulk. And so, turn 3, I lose my Kyurem Black, which as you can see, ripped through his team. So we're off to a terrible start. I'm like, screw it, I'm getting the first kill of the UBC with this bad boy. Go, Dwayne. Dwayne gets his first kill. If you smell what the Dwayne is cooking. I go straight out to Aromatisse because I know this... Okay, here's another really weird play by Orso. He decides to go for Fake Out turn 5 of a battle with an Unburdened Hitmonlee. And I'm like, really? Is that the play you want to make? And it backfires for him because now he's going to have to be forced to switch. He goes out to Victini. I'm going to go for a Wish and pass it straight out to my Tyrantrum. Just kidding. I can take any hit with Charizard that Victini wants to throw and gain a shit ton of momentum, except he goes into a Haxorus. This Haxorus turned out to be jolly scarfed. Now, I was worried about so many sets. The big set I was worried about was Life Orb Haxorus, which is why you'll see I have a very interesting Skarmory set. My Skarmory set is Roost, Defog, Counter, and Icy Wind, predicting Taunt DD, because that's the best Haxorus set in the frickin' game. But no, he turns out to be frickin', whatchamacallit, the set that I told you. So he's Scarfed, so I'm like, cool, I didn't realize he was Scarfed at this turn, so I go for Icy Wind just in case he wanted to set up. Icy Wind has 95% accuracy, so I was kind of pissed that it missed there, because any damage on Sableye was good damage. I don't know why I went for the burn, I had so many switch-ins, but, you know, he did it anyway. I can Moonblast again here pretty safely if I want to. As I decided to Wish again and realized Tyrantrum's definitely the play, right? As I got to Tyrantrum, it seemed kind of obvious. Okay, here's what I don't get. Last time I went out to Charizard, so why would you D-Gleam a Charizard? But anyway... He D-Gleams here on my Tyrantrum. As you can see, it does a shit ton of damage. 80%. Keep that in mind. Keep that in mind. Remind yourself that this Victini did 80% to my Tyrantrum. And remind yourself that 80% is a max roll. Just keep that idea. I did a count after you told me the set. 80% is a max roll. Now, just from this point on, from turn 12 on to the rest of this battle, keep this in mind. Whatever hacks, whatever misfortunes happen in this battle could have been prevented by certain events starting right now. He D-Gleams and crits me. I could have lived, I would have gone for Head Smash, that would have been a dead Victini. Instead, he didn't die. So I'm going to go for a DD here. Now here's another turn that was really annoying. It turns out he wasn't running fully defensive Mega Sableye, because I don't know. I don't know why. You know what this would have meant, guys? This would have meant that +1 Flare Blitz would have murked his Sableye. It would have been gonzo. And if that had gone down at that turn, at that point, he would have had to have prayed. It would have been a speed tie with Haxorus as well, to be fair. It would have been a speed tie with Haxorus. I was considering DDing again, But DD again would have been good because he would have foul played and brought me down to the range where Hitmonlee could have spammed Fake Out and I would have lost Charizard. So I was like, I ain't risking shit. I'm going to go to my Roserade predicting foul play. Now, not the best play, but okay, keep this in mind too, okay? If Victini was dead, okay, if Victini was dead, which it should have been if my Tyrantrum didn't get crit, let's keep that in mind, then he had no switch into my Roserade. Roserade basically picked up a kill every time it came in. Roserade as well was packing Giga Drain, which meant that Roserade was my primary switch in from this point onwards into a certain Pokemon called Suicune. Since my other two Pokemon that were coming against Suicune were kind of out of commission, it was my primary Suicune switch in, so please, for the love of God, keep that in mind when you think about my Tyrantrum. I got crit. I'm going to Sludge Bomb here, it does a crap ton to his Victini, doesn't poison, and here's where I realize I've got to make a decision. And I make a really bad decision. I realize at this point in time that his Victini is going to die to 2 Life Orb hits. And I didn't know what move he was going to go for. I was worried, because 2 Psychics could be a problem for Charizard. But I make a really, really bad play that I'm already immediately watching and regretting. My Charizard set does not have Roost, so I want to keep it at optimal health so I can set up a DD and kill something. So I said to myself, okay, I'm an Adamant Zardex, I can beat Suicune 1v1 if I need to. My best play here is to sack my Roserade, because I need Aromatisse to wall Hitmonlee, and Sableye. I need Skarmory to wall Haxorus. Fun fact, Aromatisse could have walled Haxorus in this game too, just keep that one in mind as well. So I could have sacked off Skarmory here, and Skarmory did have Sturdy, so there was that, but I was like, Haxorus is Haxorus, so I'm just going to watch out for that shit. So instead, I make possibly the worst choice of the battle. Instead of going out to my Charizard, I allow Mei Young to take a V-Create and die. And that almost cost me the battle. From here on out, just okay. So Dwayne gets a single. Bear in mind, this Victini should have been dead on turn 13. On turn 13, he shouldn't have killed me. I should have lived. He should have died. Also, why would you V-Create there with Victini knowing that I had a Charizard in the back? Like, again, a play I can't comprehend. Because if I just went out to Charizard then, I still picked off the Victini with a D-Claw and like V-Create was 4 times resisted. Would have done maybe 25%. Would have completely changed the course of this battle. So, I don't know if it's a misplay by me, misplay by him. Call it what you want. But from this point on as well, obviously from the point I made, bear in mind that at this point, I should have still had a Roserade, okay? Let's just keep that in mind as this battle goes on. He goes into Haxorus, I realize, holy crap, Scuffed Haxorus, holy crap, run. I go into Skarmory. He superpowers, which I was like, that's the worst play possible for a Haxorus to make. Now, I decide here to double into my Aromatisse, which works out perfectly because he goes into Sableye. I was like, shit, yeah. Predictions on fleek. He goes into Suicune as I go for Moonblast, and I realize I gotta go into Charizard here, because it's very obvious that this Suicune is about to go for Rest. I have to take advantage. This is my only chance to beat him. I gotta do it. And I make a play here, I think. I think this is the turn where I make a play. No, it's not. Okay, this is where I should have made a play. I was saying, at the time I was also in a call with Adam, and it really pissed me off with Adam. Like, the stuff that was going on. Because I make a few bad plays, as you'll see. Shit, things are happening. Okay. On the turn where Haxorus comes in there and you see that I went for a Dragon Dance, that was a bad play. I realized that with a Sableye, all I needed was damage on it, and I could definitely kill with Flare Blitz and win the game. So what I should have done on that turn was Dragon Claw. If I Dragon Clawed then, Haxorus would have died. If Haxorus died, my Charizard safely set up on his entire team and pretty much won. So there's the big misplay. He then goes for Outrage. Here's where I again make a terrible, terrible mistake, okay? The terrible, terrible mistake is that he goes for Outrage with he goes for Outrage on Aromatisse. I didn't realize, or I did kind of realize, Adam was saying some words, and I wasn't really understanding because I was trying to focus on the battle. This is why I try not to have anybody in a call with me when I'm battling. He was saying some words that kind of confused me at the time, and I wasn't really listening. And he just said something that made me think, oh shit, this thing now can click any move that it wants. I'm scared, what do I do? And so I went out to Skarmory. Now, all I wanted to do there was just go straight for a Moonblast, quite frankly. I just wanted to go straight for a Moonblast. Knowing that he was probably going to switch anyway with Haxorus, it seemed very clear that he didn't have the Iron Tail. He would have gone for it earlier, seemed that way at least. And so I'm going to have to go back into Charizard now. Now, here's where things get... I'm just going to let this run, okay? Here's where things get crazy. It goes into Sableye, I try and DD. I realize that sooner or later I'm going to have to click the Flare Blitz button. It's going to have to happen. Sableye's going to have to die at some point. I also realize this Suicune's becoming a pain in my ass. As I'm going to double back into Dwayne, predicting him to double after Suicune. So that was a sick play by me. This is the turn I decided to Declaw, because I realized damage on Sableye is good. For some reason he decides to stay in there. Don't know if I agree with that, because DD would have been a pain in the ass. But now I can just freely DD. I'm not, like... I choose not to, okay. So he goes for Sleep Talk there. Now, how much that Sleep Talk... Yeah, let's just talk about this, because this happens twice in the battle. This is the first time this happens with Orso, where he goes for Sleep Talk on the turn that he wakes up. Now, Adam types in the chat, wakey, wakey, which is a really shit thing to do. So one reason I don't like Showdown is because it can make people think like differently and not realize certain plays. And it can put people off. And in this battle, Adam certainly does that. And I have respect for Adam, but in this battle, he was, for all intents and purposes, a dick. So, basically what happens here is that he was at about 45% or so, around there, something like that, 35%, as he wakes up and goes for Sleep Talk. Now, he had two options that he could have gone for there. He could have gone for the rest again to go back to sleep, or he could have backed himself not to get critted and gone for a Scald. Now, +1 Scald to Charizard does almost half. Now, at that point, he could have gone for back-to-back Scalds, and he might have been able to kill me, but at that point, I would have just taken the risk and locked myself into the Outrage, and just killed him. Not taking any risks, just killed the Suicune, because the Suicune went down. From that point on, I probably, you know, could have taken it. But from here, at this range, after seeing how much Dragon Claw did, it's probably not going to be able to do enough. So I'm worried. If that Scald had happened, I would have panicked and clicked it, but then it was a roll to kill. This was a scary turn. This was a scary time. But because he doesn't click Scald, everything's okay. Turns out fine for us. If he'd gone for Rest, then it would have been fine for us too. As I'm going to go for Declaw here. Now I wanted to D-Dance, but I just felt like that was okay. That was a waste of a turn. It was a waste of a turn by me. That was a free turn to just D-Dance quite easily. What isn't good is that in the chat after that turn, where Orso has clearly just made a mistake. We all make mistakes in battling. It happens. And Adam is ripping into him, like in full caps, saying that he's choked and all that stuff. And like, I can imagine how damaging that must be for somebody's confidence. Like, I've had that happen to me before, and that's why a lot of the time when I battle, I mute spectators. Because genuinely, I don't want to hear people bagging me for a bad play when I'm obviously under pressure, trying to make a good play. It's first week of a tournament. I'm trying to do well. So I think this abuse kind of rattled also. I'm going to go for a D-Dance here. I'm getting very lucky on these Sleep Talk turns, but then again, if you've seen my luck with Sleep Talk when I battle with it, you can understand. So I'm going to go straight for Declaw. It still isn't doing enough, and I'm like, ah, shit, okay. He gets another Karma, and I'm like, sick, okay. Now, this is the turn, again, where it, okay, this turn didn't decide it as much as last turn did, okay? So this turn, there was one way that it kind of decided things. Only way this decided things is if he woke up this turn and decided to go for Rest, okay? If he had woken up and gone for Rest, then, cool, good stuff. Also, good stuff. My best play on this turn was Dragon Dance. I don't think I clicked Dragon Dance on this turn, but I should have. At this range, after a DD, Orso's Suicune would have gone down after DDing up again to a Dragon Claw. If Dragon Claw at +1 is doing 46%, at +2 it's doing about 70%, down will go Suicune. At that point as well, if Suicune had chosen to go for Rest, so if Suicune goes for Scald here, at +3, he is almost killing Charizard. Charizard definitely is not going to be surviving that much longer, but Charizard can kill Suicune. And if Suicune goes down, like I said, the combination of Aromatisse plus Skarmory wins. So I was like, shit, I made a really bad play. I declawed. Now the reason why Declaw is a shit play, guys, is because if he wakes up now and rests, I just completely wasted another turn. I've wasted so many turns now where I could have just gone straight for the DD quite safely. I could have been at +2 by now and would have been two-shotting the Suicune. And this is the turn. It's just my mum messaged me. I'll sort it out in a second. This is the turn where the abuse gets crazy. Because also wakes up and Sleep Talks. Now, Why this mattered is because the Scald wouldn't have killed me, but the best play was to rest. Because if he had rested, it would have taken me either 3 D-Claws to kill him, or it would have taken the D-Dance. It was basically the situation was, it was going to take me 3 turns to kill him, and on the first turn I was bound to DD. He gets 1 rest talk turn there. If he does not get Scald, I can live. Easy peasy, happy days. Then I can go for 2 D-Claws and kill him, and I did the calcs, and a +3 Scald, I will barely live it, but I can live it. Sorry, not +3, +4 Scald. I can barely live it, but the thing is, I can live it. Which basically meant that if I went for the DD, then I could have lived it and killed him at that point anyway. So although these turns were bad, it's more also down to the bad plays by me. If I had played Charizard properly in these points, it would have been fine. Bearing in mind as well that a whole 20 turns ago, if my Tyrantrum did not get critted by Victini, I would have taken out Victini, which wouldn't have taken out my Roserade, which had the Giga Drain specifically to deal with Calm Mind mono-attacking Suicune. I had Giga Drain plus Leaf Storm with the Life Orb to kill this thing, so it was not a problem. So, as much as you say also choked, you have to understand that he also got very lucky early in the game with that crit on Tyrantrum. But because he misses his chance there, I'm going to be able to Dragon Claw here and take out his Suicune. Now, Adam literally is just typing stuff and just being super annoying. And like, this is just like, after the end of this battle, also actually left the group. And it was like a real big worry that he was going to quit. And that's why I want to talk about this, guys. No matter how much hate you give somebody for a bad play, you don't tell them. You can feel it in yourself. You can talk to other people. You shouldn't even talk to other people about it. If you feel they made a bad play, then they made a bad play. That's on them. They will understand it. They will move on with their lives. The worst thing you can do as a person is rip into somebody about a mistake they made. You can maybe point it out, say, once, and say, oh, bad luck, man. This play, maybe you could have done this, but you know what? It was still a good battle. That's what I told him afterwards. Like, we all make mistakes. Nobody is perfect, okay? Not even the third, okay? I admit, I made mistakes in this battle. He made mistakes in this battle. It was a mistake-filled battle. But it really grinded my gears that people were ripping into him after the battle, and it forced him to leave, because that's bullying. Like, you don't need to give people abuse for the plays that they make. It was his choice to make those plays. We move on with life, okay? So, let me just finish up this battle, because at this point, now that Suicune has fallen, he has no way to break the combination of Aromatisse plus Skarmory. Sableye is going to come in. At this point, I know 2 D-Claws will kill him. It turns out, like I said, that Flare Blitz would have killed him. I could tell from that damage that Flare Blitz would have killed him, but obviously I couldn't risk it. As you can see, I can live the foul play. Fire off another D-Claw, down goes Sableye. Dwayne picks up his 4th kill. He's killed every single Pokemon. I know Fake Out's coming, so I go into a Skarmory, because Fake Out would have killed me from there if he was adamant. As Skarmory now can just spam Icy Wind pretty much. But I choose to Roost there, because basically I wanted to bait him into going for the high jump kick. It was very obvious that eventually he was going to go for it, so I wanted to bait him into doing it, as he does choose to go for it there. As I baited him very nicely, counter will kill. That leaves a Scarf Taxorus against my entire team. And he decides to Scarf himself into Superpower, which is fair enough. I basically had an idea in mind, which is really shitty, but just go with me on it. It's going to take a few turns to actually happen. Basically the idea, I was going to spam Icy Wind with my Skarmory to the point where his Haxorus became slower than my Charizard X, and I could pick it off and get a 5th kill for Charizard. But then I realized it wasn't going to work because of my Skarmory having too much health left and Haxorus constantly losing health because of Superpower. Also, like at this point, I could have gone into Aromatisse and go to kill if I wanted to. I really wanted to go into Charizard because of the way that he was spamming Superpower, but at this point, I was like, eh. And as you can see, Superpower is doing absolutely nothing to me, as I'm just going to choose to Ice Wind. I could have roosted there to be a dick, but I'm like, eh, I'm not really too fast. This battle is basically over. He does end up getting a crit here, though, so it ends up being a 2-0 in the end. I could have made it a 3-0 for differential, but I decided to go with actually just the kill differential for Charizard. Picking up the kill at the end. So 5 kills the opening with Charizard X. Now, I understand that the battle could have been a lot different if he had those moves. Bear in mind, Charizard wouldn't have been at 15%. Charizard would have been at like 5% depending on the Scald hits. There were 2 chances he had to hit Scald in that battle. But bear in mind, if he chose to go for Scald in those situations, the first Scald was when he was at +1. It wouldn't have been a 2 KO if he was at +1 with my Zard spread. Basically means I could have gone for a DD as he went for another one, and then I could have killed his Suicune. It's down. Basically, either situation I feel in that battle when Charizard was in against Suicune, it was all down to the move that he chose. There was a turn where it was okay, and also it was down to what I chose. I made some misplays with Charizard. Like, in a perfect world, I would have gone for DD on the turns where rest was obvious, or even where I knew I could live a Scald. And if I got up to +2, I could definitely 2-KO the Suicune every single time. And at +2, I outsped the Haxorus. So basically, I could have swept his entire team at that point. And so really that was down to me maybe making a misplay, not so much down to him making a misplay, because I think at that point, if I had just done the plays right with Charizard, the result was going to be the same. Obviously, like I said, the crit on Tyrantrum, it sucked, because Tyrantrum could have lived that D-Gleam and taken out that Victini, and then that would have meant that Roserade could come in every time on Suicune, and he had no switch into Roserade. That thing would have just started whipping, like, just destroying his team too. So you've got to understand that, although also made a couple of questionable plays, it didn't necessarily mean that those plays would have cost him the battle in full retrospect. There was a bit of hacks, a few unfortunate plays, but after 50 turns of a very good battle, I felt, the Tampa Bay Frogadiers have come out with a 2-0 victory to open our account for the season. Probably not in the best way that we wanted to, but you know what, guys? At the end of the day, I don't mean to be that guy, but a win is a win. And if you want to be successful in a competition format, you need to just take the wins when you're given them. And it wasn't like, you know, also didn't try. He put up a great effort. If I had Kieran as well, Kieran at the end there against Suicune would have been nice. And obviously I just didn't really think with the Rhydon play. I had a Skarmory that could have come into very easily against the Rhydon too, that I just didn't really consider. I had Charizard that could come in on that Wish against Victini instead of Tyrantrum. That was like just a bad play on my part as well. But like I said, that crit was annoying. Like, it was a 6.2% chance, but whatever. Anyway, guys, at the end of the day, we picked up the victory. We go to 1-0. Next week we have the Maryland Bienchars and Jack, and he'll be hoping to destroy me, so I'm going to have to bring my A game in order to beat him. But yeah, that's going to do it for me. So far so good, 5 kills for Charizard, hopefully going to be the MVP by the end of the season, because he was my first pick, so I'm trying to justify how good he is as a pick. But yeah, please no hate for Orso. He actually did really well in this battle, and he didn't deserve the abuse that he got for the plays that he made. It can be hard to understand the mechanics of Sleep Talk, so, it can be hard to understand the mechanics of Rest, so please no hate in the comments. He is a very good battler. Please go check out his channel, I will link it in the description, and definitely check him out in all the leagues that he's in. But for now, I'm out this bit.